Okay, so we've got the rock shaft cover back on. The boys and I lifted it on there again, and seemed lighter, but we planned a little bit better for this one, so we got it up there. I had two strips of wood. I had one about right here and one about right here, so I laid the gasket down, put those two strips of wood in, and then we set it up on those strips of wood and then slid it back, but it weighs a lot. And then I was able to fine tune it by using a pry bar under the shafts that are sticking out there, and we got it situated. So now I just need to torque those bolts down. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts, and 1, 2, 3, 4 nuts, and they all have lock washers on them, and it's 85 foot-pounds, so we'll go ahead and get those torqued. Okay, so we also now have the rock shaft control valve on, and those were 35 foot-pounds for torque, and I think there was 9 bolts on there. So the next thing we're going to do is that hydraulic line in the back, and then there's another one on this side. We'll get those hooked up, and then we'll put the rock shaft arms back on. Okay, so we got the 2 hydraulic lines hooked back up. There's that one on that side, and that one on that side. So the next thing we'll put on are the rock shaft arms. One on that side and one on that side, and they had grease packed in there inside the washer, so I'll just do that same thing. There's not a lot of it, but just a coating on the teeth of the splines, and I want to make sure that they're in the right spot, so I'll put one on and turn the shaft until the arms are all the way down, and then I'll put them on. Now these are supposed to be torqued to, well, I believe it was 230 foot-pounds. 270 to 330. It's not focusing, but the lift arm. So I don't have a torque wrench that can torque that high, so I'm just gonna give it the best I can, and we'll go from there. Okay, the rock shaft or 3-point arms are on, and they're in the full upright position. And that's the full down and parallel position. And so now what we'll do is we will put the Scv valves back on, and this is a clean surface here, so the gasket goes in the other end. And then on this side I did get my Power Beyond block, so before we do this side, it comes with 4 new bolts, so we won't put these bolts back in, but we'll go ahead and do this side first, and then we will do the Power Beyond with the other side. And the valves look like they're the same. I'm not sure which one came off of which side, so I compared them and they look identical, so hopefully I'm not wrong about that. Okay, so here's the Scv valve. So you've got this new gasket here and this gasket here, so make sure you get both of those, and then we'll go ahead and bolt that one on. So we'll do that one on the right, and then we basically have this times 2, because we'll have 2 gaskets on the Power Beyond block and then 2 gaskets on the Scv valve on the left side. So same thing you're seeing here, but times 2 on the left side. Okay, here's our Power Beyond kit, and I got it off of eBay from All States Ag Parts. So there's the part number if you need it. Okay, so here's the actual block, and so it's got the high pressure port So we'll have the big gasket like we had on the last SCV, and then the small circular gasket, and then this block has a hole in the top, so that'd be for the supply, and then there's 2 holes in the side for return, and then we got a smooth face on the back, and then the SCV connects up to that side. So we only need 2 of these ports. We need 1 high pressure and 1 return. So it comes with these elbows, and they have an O-ring on them, each of them, and there's 3 different lengths, which is nice. So I'm not exactly sure which ones I want to put where, but I think I want to figure that out before I bolt it up, because it'll be easier to put them on while I have the block out here. And then since I don't have the hydraulic lines to hook up, it also comes with these caps. So they have a tapered, you know, they fit on the tapered end for the hydraulic lines. And then there's a plug for the 3rd port that we're not going to use, and that should have an O-ring on it. So it looks like the threads that go into the block are not tapered. That's why they have the O-rings on them. Then we've got the 2 big gaskets that go in this groove here, and then we've got a little baggie that has 3 of the circular gaskets that go here, and then it's also got 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, got too close there. 4 O-rings that fit on these, the plug, and then these 3 fittings here. And then we've got the longer bolts. So I'm going to go figure out which fittings I want to put where, and then we'll get that put in. So a little bit of a snafu. These O-rings that they provided are too big. So if you put them on here, I don't know if you can see that very well, but they're kind of baggy. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll just put all 3 of the elbows on, and then I'll cap them, but they only gave me 2 caps. But all the elbows had O-rings on them. So I just took the O-ring off of this elbow and put it on the plug down at the bottom there. So I'll have to go back to the seller and see if I can get the right size O-rings. I guess I don't really need them right now, but just in case. The other gaskets seem to fit okay. And then one other thing I failed to mention when I was looking at this is they have this, which I assume is it's a linkage extension, and it has a pin and a new cotter pin. So we'll go ahead and get this. I've got the gaskets fitted in this side. I'll go hang it from a couple of bolts, and then I'll take the valve over there after I put these caps on. Alright, I just wanted you to see that. And one other thing, what I ended up doing with the valve, or with the elbows, is I got the shortest one on here. I'm saving out the longest one so that it has a better chance of clearing this valve, and then I put the medium one on the top, and that should work. There isn't really any other interference, so if I ever need to put this on, it should make it easier to put that on. Okay, here's the Power Beyond block installed, and the only other problem I had was the lock washers that came with these bolts aren't that great. So, but I just replaced it. It was this bottom one that fell off. I just replaced it with the John Deere one, that green one that's on there. So otherwise, that's our Scv valves, the Power Beyond block. I ended up tilting this backwards because there's a bit of a space back here. Get the light. And then you've also got the actuating lever right in that same area. So I'm hoping that it goes forward. I'm pretty sure it does, but I just wanted to keep it clear. And then, you know, when the hose hooks onto that elbow on the side, it'll stay as close to the rock shaft housing as possible, and then it'll go up over the top probably, and over on the right side. That's kind of the typical thing. So that's a Power Beyond block, and the caps are on the elbows, so I'm not going to plumb it in with hydraulic hoses yet until I get my loader connected up, and we'll go from there. Otherwise it's on. They're torqued to 45 foot-pounds, same as that one, and those are done. So the last thing I need to do is put the dipstick back in, and then these bolts up here secure the dipstick, and I'll attach the 3-point arms and then the linkages, and I don't actually remember right now which linkages go where, but I'll point that out when I get to that point, and then I can fire it up and test it.